I like Monster Hunter World. What about you?
Oh man, I love it.
It's great. Yeah, the numbers are really good. What was it? What was it again?
Last I checked, it was at 16 million sales worldwide, with Iceborne selling about 6 million units.
Whew.
Capcom set out to bring a whole new flock of people into the Monster Hunter franchise, and judging by the numbers here, it worked pretty well. It has several Game Award accolades under its belt within the past 2 years.
Yeah. And it's got a lot more people looking forward to a Monster Hunter game than I think ever before, with Monster Hunter Rise coming out next year. And a lot of people are very excited for the upcoming Monster Hunter Stories sequel.
Yep, I haven't looked too much into that, but we're not here to talk about either of those games. We're just like kind of taking a step here and telling Capcom things that they might want to look at it for, future releases, especially if they're going to try and do something like World again.
Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, welcome to our Qualities of Life. Because sometimes it's the little things that can really make a game.
Yup. Speaking of making, we got to make this timer happen, man.
Yeah. Well, hold on a second.
We can't hold on. No, you can't.
I'm getting a phone call here. Hold on. I'll just pause the game. Okay. Hello?
Even though he's on single player, that doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, could I call you back? I'm in the middle. Yeah. All right. Thanks. Bye.
So I just want.
Okay, I'm dead.
I just want you to know that I just wasted 45 minutes of my life waiting for this to not happen.
And I was doing so well earlier. Ugh. Yeah, so let's start with the elephant in the room here. There is no reason that there shouldn't be a pause button when you're playing by yourself in this game.
No, when I first started out, I was primarily on my own, and I don't know how many times I've had to quit a quest when I was on a roll because I had to go take care of some real life issues. They took it out for World, but they had a pause button in Generations Ultimate. Why?
When he sent me that, he sent me a picture of the pause button in Generations Ultimate, and I was just like, "You son of a bitch!"
Yeah, why did you guys take why did you guys take the pause button out, Capcom? There's no reason for it. That was a really, really glaring mistake. Probably the biggest issue I have with this game.
Mm-hmm. One might say you've got woes.
Yeah, and I'm kind of defensive about it. I gotta take my armor and weapons elsewhere, I suppose.
Oh, that was a weird segue, but let's roll with it. I got woes too. I got armor woes.
Tell me about them.
Tell me about it. So, I started the game making the mistake of picking up the Guardian armor.
Yes, I told you not to.
Actually, he didn't. I don't think he really knew what to expect with the Guardian armor. I didn't know what to expect either, but what happened is that it let me just bulldoze my way through the base game.
Yeah, when you told me about how many monsters you were taking out without any problems, I was like, wow, kind of robbing yourself there, buddy.
Yeah, and honestly, I felt deprived later down the line. So, I feel like the Guardian armor should be a New Game Plus feature. Because, when you're playing a New Game Plus, you already played the game. You already know some of the stuff that's going on. But sometimes you want to just start fresh. Start with a different character.
Learn a different weapon without having to
worry about a different weapon.
Yeah, without having to worry about, weaknesses, anything of that sort.
Which, we'll get to that. It just makes the base game way too easy as well. I never, had any reason to get rid of the Guardian armor in the base game. It just made it so easy, and the buffs that you get from it are ridiculous. It takes away from learning the game, as you said. So I think it should be behind a New Game Plus thing.
Yep. There's other ways that we could probably fix it so that new players aren't robbed, but that'll be another topic entirely.
Mm-hmm. But, it's not just armor woes that I've got. It's also combat woes, combat basics.
Yeah, how much of the basics did you learn with the Guardian armor and Defender weapon?
Not a thing.
That's okay, because the game doesn't really tell you where the combat basics even are, aside from just like a little training area, which gives you a quick blurb as to like what the weapon's strengths and weaknesses are, such as, for example, with the Greatsword, it's a heavy weapon that gives you great power for reduced mobility. The training area doesn't even really give you a good opportunity to get practice in with that weapon, but if you take the time to go spelunking in your menus, you'll find out a thing about the Hunter's Notes. It's not even...
Wait a minute, what menu are we talking about here? That the thing that didn't let me pause the game?
Yeah, the thing that didn't let you pause the game. It's in there. It's kind of hidden, which I don't agree with. They should have made that a little bit more apparent.
Less obscure.
Yeah, they didn't hide it, but they didn't make it obvious. And within these Hunter's Notes, it not only gives you a near full list of weapon combos, but it also tells you, what buttons to hit to get what effects, so to speak, in loose terms. It also gives you monster weaknesses, what their hides are like. But I would prefer if there was like a bit of a more in-depth training area, something with a live moving target, because dancing around a pole is not my idea of learning.
I don't judge you if it is.
Yeah, but it doesn't teach you the elements very well.
Elements,
or the
you said
elementary basics.
Elements.
Yes, the elementary basics.
Oh, well, let's talk about elements anyway, because I got things to talk about there. So this is something that actually kind of goes back to the Guardian armor and the Defender weapon set, which is the Defender weapon set just destroys everything even more. And because of that, you don't really learn what elemental damage is. It only gets told to you about 2 times in the entire game. One's in a loading screen tip, and the other is from the smithy, where he just says, don't turn your nose up to the elements. They could make or break a situation. And if you've got the Guardian armor and the Defender armor, you're not going to care because you're plowing through everything. I didn't have a reason to swap until Barioth in Iceborne. And even then, I didn't care. I didn't really pay any attention to what weapon I should use, what element I should use. I was just like, all right, I got to find something that does more damage. That was it. And then Alatreon came into play. Alatreon is the 3rd time that elemental damage gets mentioned to you, but even then, it's very minuscule. I feel that the Alatreon controversy would have been a lot lesser if the game itself explained elemental damage better, and also didn't let you use the Guardian armor, because like I said, I got woes.
What's your status?
It's really abnormal.
Yeah, the status of these woes continue to do things, but I'm not going to explain what those things do, because Capcom didn't explain how abnormal status damage works to us either. just to kind of quickly break it down for you, status damage works differently depending on if you're using a melee or ranged weapon. Ranged weapon, if you deal status damage, you'll always deal status-based damage. But if you're melee, you have about a 1 1/3 chance of dealing X amount of damage. And once you trigger that status, you have to keep hitting it until it causes a build-up to trigger, and after that, you just have to keep doing it again, except you have more of a threshold to hit until a certain point.
Kind of like Dark Souls.
Yeah, that's a fair summation.
Yeah, I also with the blast abnormal status, it's what, the most broken thing in the game?
For low rank and high rank, yes, it is the most broken, but I was doing some reading a while back, and apparently poison is better for master rank because of the inflated health pools, which can also be blamed upon with the clutch claw.
Yeah, let's talk about the clutch claw. It's clunky. It is very clunky. I like it as a concept. I think it's a very cool concept because it lets you close the gap between you and the monster faster, and it gives you a little more semblance of control on the monster when it's not pissed off, obviously, and enraged. It's got issues, though. And we're going to show you some footage right here of us trying to get Alatreon to go into the wall, because this is probably the worst case of the Clutch Claw's clunkiness, where you think you've got Alatreon or any monster lined up to a wall, you use the flint shot, and then it runs into the wall, but it doesn't get hit by the wall. It just turns around and then looks at you like, what did you do to me?
To be fair,
when it should have hit the wall.
I was about to say, to be fair, walls don't hit people. People hit walls.
Yeah, okay, well, I digress. It's very finicky, and it could be done better. It's the fact that it drains your stamina so much and punishes you for moving around. That's one problem. And also, with Master Rank, you're pretty much required to use the Clutch Claw to make fights go by quicker.
Yeah, just to kind of interject here, I've had several instances in where I was fighting a monster and I just thought to myself, man, this fight is going on way too long.
I hit the time limit more than a few times in Iceborne, and other times I came damn near close. I've got one picture of a failed quest against Velkhana, and I'll give it to you to put up, where I had 7 seconds left.
Rip.
That hurt. Yeah. But, I don't really have any catchy transitions or cool transitions to this, so I'm just gonna...
You can catch that Palico as it's soaring through the air, though.
Whee!
So Palicos, yeah, they're really cool. They're really cute. They do some things. I don't know exactly what kind of numbers my Palico's putting out, but he does things that you can tell. But there's one thing that I wish that they could do, and that is, especially in the Guiding Lands, pick up the shinies.
Oh, yeah.
Guiding Lands in particular, every big monster just drops more things for you to pick up, more loot. And it would be nice to have my Palico go and pick things up while I hold on to the attention of the monster, or at least try to.
Yeah. Can I just interject here for a second?
Yeah.
I don't like that I have to put my weapons away while I'm fighting a monster, turn my back on the monster to get those items. It's an OCD thing, or, it's really obsessive compulsive, but it bothers me.
Yeah, it's a trained response for being a gamer. If you see a shiny, typically you gotta pick that shit up.
Otherwise, it'll disappear.
Yeah, and the timer on disappearing things is rather slim.
Is it?
I thought it was.
I think it's, for the most part, relatively generous. I just don't like the fact that I gotta put my weapons away to pick stuff up and turn my back against the monster to pick stuff up.
Fair enough. But at least it's a bit more stable than the servers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the servers. So, me and Izzy have relatively good internet. Relatively. We've gotten kicked off more than any other games we've played together.
Especially on Steam servers, there's no reason for this amount of disconnect happening. It happens.
You'd expect it with something like the Nintendo servers, which is why I'm a little worried about Rise's server stability. So, we're bringing it up now. Stabilize your servers, Capcom.
Yeah, because there's nothing more infuriating than being on a roll with a party, and then all of a sudden, your roll is just immediately killed because you got disconnected. And then you're stuck, possibly, I'm not entirely certain about the mechanics of this, but then you're going to be stuck fighting a Rune or Nergigante, tempered, arch-tempered at that, just to kind of make it crazier, tuned for 4 people, as opposed to being tuned for 1.
Yeah.
That's a real feel-bad, man.
I shudder for the day when arch-tempered Nergigante gets put into the game.
Oh, he's not? I thought he was.
No, it's right now it's arch-tempered Velcana. But, honestly, I look forward to it because Nergigante is one of my favorite fights. And there's one last thing we want to touch on, and that's the lock-on feature. And the fact that I hate it.
It's not very intuitive.
It's not very friendly.
Nope. Instead of, locking onto the monster that you're currently hunting, it'll just lock onto anything willy-nilly, despite the distance.
Yeah, so if you look at the bottom left side of your screen, you've got, of course, the big monsters that are in the entire zone, and then you've got the monsters that are in your proximity. So it's like 4 or 5 little squares there, depending on where you're at. Here's the problem, though. It scrolls through every monster there, and it should change to whatever is in your field of vision.
Yeah.
Like Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm. Even though fighting with a lock-on a giant monster isn't necessarily the most intuitive thing,
I would rather use the lock-on feature in Dark Souls to lock onto a giant than I would ever want to use in Monster Hunter. But on that note, thank you for listening.
We had some problems, but we voiced them. We sent them out into the void. Hopefully someone listens and our issues might be resolved. Especially the pause button and the server stability. That's probably the most irritating thing out of the entire thing.
Yeah. But anyway, have a wonderful day. Stay safe.
Stay away from the Backstreet Boys tour.
They're doing one of those?